Hello everybody, happy Triple T. It is Thursday and that means we are here with another tips, trick, or tutorial, and today is no exception. We are going to be talking all about live streaming equipment. I'm really excited to make this one with you. I have been requested to make this video, and while this list is not extensive, I think it's pretty complete, and we're just gonna say that. It's Triple T, and that also means it is Thirsty Thursday, which let's see here. Let me just make sure I'm live. I cannot tell you how many times I've done this now where we're not actually live, right? Yeah. Hey, okay. I think I just saw some people commenting, so I'm gonna say yes. We are seeing it. We are seeing it. Oh, I'm so excited about that. Yes. All right. If you're seeing it, give it a thumbs up. Yes. Also, I'm trying out something where this is my first time trying to push out a higher grade signal than usual through Ecamm, and I'm giving it a shot where it's going to do it in 4K, but we'll see what it ends up down converting it to on all of these different platforms, because you know, if you're on Facebook and whatnot, then it's going to go down to 720. So we are going to see, hey James Pruitt, hey Caliber Wings, hey Challenge It Off. Thank you everyone. It says the current resolution is, oh actually I just got a note about this. You need to change the video resolution. The current resolution is, which is not supported for this configuration. The expected video resolution is 2560 by 1440. I wonder if I can do that on the fly while I'm doing it. Hang with me. Let's see. I don't know. We're going to see. Streaming. I don't think it'll let me change it while I'm doing it live. So I have no idea what that's going to look like. I guess we'll see. It says buffering. Buffering. Are you guys getting buffering? Oh, bummer. Okay. Should I pull up a phone just to see? What's it look like for you guys? You tell me. It says, hi Pixelpia. Can you guys see it on YouTube, or is it buffering for you too? This is my fault for trying to do it on too high of a resolution. Let's see. I'm pulling it up. No buffer? Okay, sweet. Okay. We're just going to run with this and we're going to see how we go. All right, we'll see how that goes. All right. So first of all, with buffers occasionally, we'll see. One of the first things that we have to talk about, Thirsty Thursday. And I got a new cup, y'all. I got a new cup. I ordered this 10 weeks ago. So what is that? Almost 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I ordered this cup. And even though there's some issues with it, the nice lady actually is letting me keep it. They're going to send out the replacement one of the corrections. But guys, you check this. Check this out. Thirsty Thursday cup beverage. So now I'm going to ask you, what is in your cup today? Let me know. What is in your cup? What are you drinking? And I'll take some guesses as to what's in my cup. Hello, Valeria. You guys let me know what is in your cup, and we will do that. All right. So I should also tell you that I would love to see you on any of my social media platforms. That wasn't the right size, was it? All right, we're going to lock that in place there. And if you like live streams and you want to see more of me, make sure that you like and subscribe and you turn on that bell notification so you actually know when I'm going live. And special shout out to my channel members. It's over here this time. This time I'm going to get it, guys. Especially all of the platinum channel members. Thank you so much. And they get on-screen mention. If you guys are interested at all in any kind of channel memberships, I have a video about it on my channel. And last thing, I was telling this on Instagram, and I think I made a YouTube short about it, but I'm saying, since iMovie Made Easy has launched, sometime I know in the next year, in the new year, the price is going to go up. So it's kind of like a buy it now before it goes up in price sale. So that's what that's about. Am I drinking coffee? No, I am not. I am not drinking coffee, so you guys can have any other guesses. It is really pretty. I have to be very careful because depending on where you touch it, there are actually crystals that are already coming off. So I will say it's hot. I don't know if that helps, but what is in the cup is hot. All right. It is not a green smoothie because that would imply some kind of like healthy, which yeah, I am not. All right. So I want to know what questions you guys have about live streaming, because I'm super excited to do that. Also, I don't think I am on Amazon like I'm supposed to be. You guys, I just can never get my life together. And anyways, let's talk about this. One of the very first things that you're going to need when you are going to be going live. Speaking of live, who here has decided in the next year that you're going to be doing more live streaming? If that's you, raise your hand or put a thumbs up. Let me know that you are going to be doing more live streaming in the coming year. Because for a lot of people, it's one of those, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution and it's going to be awesome next year. So let me know if that's you. But a lot of people have decided that next year, okay, I'm going to end this real quick. I'm going to end the Instagram one so I can go check on something real quick. So hang out with me for 1 second here. And we are going to go over to, where is it? Amazon. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've only successfully had Amazon work for me once. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to try this one more time. External, preview. Are we sending? Can we hit go live? I think one of the reasons that it gets so mad at me, it says you can only do a 1280 by 720 over on, so it's saying that I'm sending too high of a signal. So I'd have to downgrade my signal just to be able to send it to Amazon. All right, maybe we'll just turn that off. Okay. It's just not meant to be. It's just not meant to be. What can I say? I'll go back to YouTube. It's fine, whatever. I'll put YouTube on this one, then I can read your guys' comments. Wow, look at me being all like, I don't even know the right term. Being all awesome. The Cooking Coppin' Babe, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing awesome. I saw that Babe is saving you those latkes. They look delicious. I am sending out positive vibes for you, buddy. And everything that you're going through. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. Okay, so who's gonna be doing more lives in the new year? So actually one thing that's actually kind of exciting also, I'm repping the Ecamm Love. I actually happen to be wearing this shirt, and then Ecamm actually reached out to me, and so you guys know my friend Scott Peachy. He and I were on an episode together, what was it, 2 weeks ago? You know, where he was publicly badgering Ecamm and saying, hey guys, we want to be and do a channel takeover, and they listen. They're going to let us do a channel takeover, I think sometime in January, so we will be showing up on the Ecamm YouTube channel. Told Scott he was pretty darn excited about that. So also, did you guys let me know what's in your cup? What is in your cup? Okay, so James says, I live at least once a week, and you plan to add at least one more show per week. I'd rather do live than recorded content personally, but I'm working on my studio. Yeah, honestly, I have to say I enjoy going live so much more sometimes than doing the recorded videos, because I like to be able to talk with you guys, interact with you guys, get the quick feedback from you guys, and actually have a conversation. I think that's something that's kind of like missing when it comes to recorded content, because it's just I think you guys want to see this or learn this, and then I try and make that content, and then maybe it misses the mark, or it's not what you wanted, or you have some other question. And so I really enjoy the live aspect of it, and just like feeling like we're hanging out with friends, right? But on the flip side of that, if you're someone who feels a little bit more anxious and scared about live streaming because you're not sure what to talk about, or you're not sure what to do if you don't think anyone else is on the live stream with you, then it can become really scary, a scary place to be. And I did do a live stream at the very beginning, I think, of November, where I was just talking about like what to do when like you're just getting started, you're kind of freaked out, you're not sure where, like what to talk about, what to do, and you're pretty darn sure no one's going to be there. So, hey, Shelly, it says Facebook user. It says Facebook user, so I'm gonna have to go click on Facebook real quick just to see who it is, because sometimes there's a funny little thing that makes it so you can't actually see who's saying what. So let me just pull this up really quick, because I don't know who's actually saying hi, and I don't want you to think I'm being rude. I want to say hi back. So it's not on that one. And so if you guys didn't know, one of the beautiful things about being able to live stream is that sometimes there are audiences on so many different platforms, and if you want to be able to be wherever they are, then you want to not have to record specific content for each channel, but instead be able to, you know, record it once and send it out to everywhere at the same time. And so that is going to come into channel sponsor and all that goodness. I want to make sure I send a special thank you to Restream for being a channel sponsor. And that's how I'm able to broadcast, like you guys know, to like 6 places at the same time. And if you guys want to check that out, make sure you do. And you can save $10 with my link. It is an affiliate link. So just FYI, okay? I'm just letting you know, giving you due diligence on that one. Okay, so let's pull this up here. Let's talk about this. It says, I hope you're talking a bit about how to use Elgato Stream Deck today. Oh, sweet. You just got yours. Awesome. It is on the list. And your first live, you had 2 people. You know what? That's more than most people. So that's amazing. Because a lot of the time when you first get started, like no one shows up to your live. And you just have to be okay with that, / kind of like make it so that hopefully that there's value in the replay. And like, yeah, it is tough when you're first getting started to be able to live stream. I won't lie about that, especially if you feel like no one is there. And so yes, if you never saw that one, make sure you go back and check out the very first live episode that we did, which was like what to do when no one is watching, because of the fact that you know, I try and give you guys some advice on that one, including like the post-its, already having something that you want to say, and that kind of whole thing. So hopefully that will be better for you guys. It says, Shelly, can you go live on Instagram more often? Yes, I could do that. In fact, up until just a minute ago when I was wanting to check on the live stream here, I was actually live on Instagram, and then I cut it off so I could come check out YouTube and whatnot. So let me just take a look at something really quick. Okay, let's go see something really quickly. Dun, 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 dun. And I want to ask, how's your guys' week going? Because the place where I happen to be working, a lot of people are taking tomorrow off. So it seems like for a lot of people, their vacation has started early. Does your link and code work even if you upgrade from a free version? I think it does, because I think it's as long as you've never had a paid version. So you could give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, I could try and reach out to my buddies and see. But as far as I know, as long as you've never had a paid version before. So it snowed today in New Jersey. In fact, I have been seeing people this week like posting all kinds of videos about snow and stuff. We've had no snow yet in Seattle. Like, it's been cold and it's been rainy, but like no snow. So I'm kind of not thinking that we're going to have a white Christmas. Are you guys having snow where you are? First of all, let me know where you're watching from, and let me know if it is snowing there. For me, Seattle, no snow. No snow at all. Just kind of a bummer. So, James, where are you? Where are you located? Where are you? You know what I'm saying? Where are you? Where are you? Let me know. All right, so here's my post-its. Like I said, I am a creature of habit, all right? So one of the first things that I want to talk about is when you decide that you're going to go live, you're going to decide on what platforms that you want to go live on. Now, if you're someone who doesn't want to have to decide which platforms to go live on, or if you're someone who wants to be the most efficient, then you get hooked up with something like Restream, right? There you go. Then of course, you could go into Restream and do like the studio stuff as well, but I'm on a Mac, and one of my favorite ways to stream, I'm actually using another service called Ecamm, which I also feed into the RTMP server info for Restream. So I feed all of the information to Restream, and then Restream distributes it across all of these 5 different places. So currently I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitch, so Periscope, I'm on a Facebook group, a Facebook page, and my personal profile, as well as well, I thought Amazon, but maybe not so much now. So all these different places with doing one live stream. So that's kind of the beauty of being able to have that option. And one of the reasons that I really, really like Ecamm is that you can do all kinds of, you know, fun animations and graphics and sounds and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. Am I playing the wrong? I want this one. I think I want this one. Let me just make sure. Because I keep seeing the 30 locations that you can stream to pop up, but I just want the lower third going. You guys got to keep me on it. You go between Florida and New Jersey. Nice. Okay, sweet. Oh, nobody guessed this, but not that you care. And none of you told me what's in your cup, which I think is selfish, okay? But it's Glühwein. So I don't know if you know, it's like the warm red wine, like the seasonal, like and I felt like there's no better time than Thirsty Thursday, like kind of right before Christmas for this. I'm like, yeah, it's happening. It is happening. Oh, great. Great to know. Good. I thought as long as you've never had a paid version, that code should work. So that's awesome. And in fact, there's going to be a tutorial on not only Ecamm, but there's also going to be a tutorial coming on Restream, because for a lot of people like signing up, and I know a lot of people probably in the new year are going to be signing up, you know, New Year's resolutions and all. I thought it'd be a really good, I thought it'd be a good place to start for a lot of people like starting over. You have coffee in your cup. You did answer? Oh, that's true. All right, James Fruit, you did answer. And James, thank you so much for being here and commenting. I know you said that like, so if you guys didn't know, on Twitch I've had some people that aren't very nice to me, so I had changed my settings so that you have to follow me for like a certain amount of time, like a week or something, and then you can comment on a video, I guess, and then be mean to me in a week, which I hope people aren't, but whatever. So that's why if you were watching me there and you couldn't comment, that's why, because yeah, that's why. Okay, so then you can also hook up with a service like Ecamm, which is one of my favorites. And now I'm going to tell you, we're going to get into some tea here. I don't know if any of you guys have caught this over on my Twitter, but I was talking about services that I don't really like because I've been testing so many of them. And one that I don't really like is Zoom. And so I don't know if you guys know this, but Zoom, if you are on a paid level, you can do a custom RTMP, but usually, one thing I hate about Zoom, I don't like it at all, okay? I'm paying $15 and it's over here, somewhere down here in the bottom. They end up putting this huge garish logo that says Zoom over it. And I'm like, if I'm paying, I don't want your logo in the bottom of my stream. Like, that's dumb. And the quality of the video that comes through from that, you can go back in my Twitter and see it, but I took a screenshot of what is actually coming from my camera and then what is actually being produced from Zoom, and the weird quality that it produced. It is night and day. Like, I would not feel great about myself putting out like that video because I just don't think it looks very good. And so I would rather pay, instead of the $15 or $20 to Zoom, I would rather pay the $15 or $20 to Restream and actually look a lot better and have more functionality. So that is the tea on that. I'm not a big fan of pushing out a signal from Zoom. I am a big fan of it for maybe other reasons if you really need to, but like, I'm just not a fan of it. So don't come for me, okay? I know a lot of people use it, love it, all that good stuff, and there are some definite benefits to it. But for me, for streaming directly to YouTube, I absolutely despise the Zoom logo watermark thing, and I just don't like the quality. So if quality is kind of important to you, then maybe don't look at it. Now, if you're already paying for Zoom and you can't do custom RTMP unless you're on a higher, paid level of Zoom. So if you're already paying for Zoom and then you're thinking, oh, do I really care about paying for another service? I would say it depends on how much you live stream. If you're live streaming a lot and you want to get rid of that logo and there's a lot of ands, right? Then is that worth an extra $20 or something to you a month? Then think about it. For me, I would rather pay the $20 and get rid of that logo and like stream in high def, because I think they'll top you out at 720. Like, it's not for me. Sorry for my rant there. I'm not a fan. I tried it. I tried it once and I was just like, nope, not for me. All right. So after we have a stream, is it circulating through the one? 1 second here. Let me just make sure I've got the right one. we'll switch to a TubeBuddy one here. We'll let it play for a little bit. Why not? Why not? We'll let that one play. So, questions. Have you guys tried Zoom? Oh, James is saying Zoom is terrible. Okay, so Tyreek Tutorials is asking, do you like StreamYard or do you like Restream? I think that they both have different purposes. I think that I have more flexibility inside of Restream, and personally, I prefer it. Now, I will say that if you are an absolute beginner and you need it to all be browser-based, and then maybe you would go with StreamYard, but I find that it's a lot more limiting in terms of like rearranging like where you are on screen and how large you are on screen. So I prefer Ecamm, or I prefer Restream, like by a lot. I would much rather use that. And a few things, like Restream is going to allow you to have like an interview mode with like 10 people. Ecamm will let you do like 4 people and yourself, so it's like 5 people total. And so StreamYard will let you have like 6, I think. But yeah, I prefer Ecamm as well, because if you were doing something like recording a podcast or something like that too, I also like now the option where you can record each person's audio into a separate file, and then it's easier for like recording back and editing a podcast for having those tracks be separate. So will I do gaming? No. And I'm not scoffing at gaming. I'm saying like I'm a horrible gamer. I think you guys know, I don't know if you guys ran a different live stream, but the only game that I play is 2 Dots. I play 2 Dots. I'm obsessed with 2 Dots. I've been playing 2 Dots for 5 or 6 years. 6 years I've been playing 2 Dots. And I don't advise anyone start it unless you're ready to devote years of your life to it with immense frustration. Yeah, I play 2 Dots. That's the only gaming thing that I do. So I know a lot of people are very interested right now in the PS5 and Xbox and all that stuff. I don't get that because I use my Xbox as a Hulu server or a smart TV thing. And my dog is scratching at the door. I don't know if you can hear that, but wow, that's not good. That's not good at all. We'll see how that goes. You have advanced levels since we talked about 2 Dots. Oh, nice. Oh, you advanced 50 levels. Whoa. Nice. Oh, yeah, you were on the last stream where I was like having a mini heart attack because I was like, I had just given up the iPhone 12 Pro Max, right? And I was switching back to the 11 Pro Max. And then I was like, am I going to lose all of my progress after I did this game restore, reset on a new phone? And I'm like, is that going to be a thing? And then it was totally fine. Once I logged back in and hooked it back up to my Facebook, it synced back up and crisis was averted. It was a problem though. It was a definite problem. Definite problem. Okay, so hopefully that answers some of the questions there. I'm a big fan of Ecamm. I'm a big fan of Restream for all of the sharing. And in fact, the inside the studio stuff is really good too. So I would definitely check those out. And like I said, you can do a 14-day free trial of Ecamm if you want. The link is in the description, as well as you can get $10 off for Restream, which Pixelpia just also confirmed. Even if you're on the free version, as long as you've never been on a paid version, then you can go check that out. And yeah, so that's really cool there. Why is it doing that with I think it's playing the wrong lower third. 1 second. Let me go just check that out real quick. Let me check that out. Give me 1 second, people. Have I used Canva for thumbnails? I don't use Canva. Typically, I use PicMonkey or Photoshop. Those have been my go-tos for years and years and years. They're kind of my jam. So that's why you actually see like a lot of tutorials on my channel that either have to do with Photoshop or PicMonkey, because those are my tools of choice. Not that Canva isn't good. I think Canva is also great, but it's not what I use. So let's see here. And actually, I saw that PicMonkey is starting to do a lot with like, well, one of the things I love about PicMonkey is they have an integration with it's a stock website. And so I love that because now you can start designs with like a whole bunch of stock images, which is great because usually you have to pay for stock images and stuff. But they just started doing now where they're supporting like video and stuff like that. And I use their mobile editor on my phone like all the time. So I have to say I'm a big big fan of PicMonkey and what they're doing over there. So I've always been a big fan of PicMonkey. Pixabay, yeah, Pixabay is, but that, I don't think that's the site that they integrate with. Let me pull it here. I will go check it out. 1 second. I'll go pick up PicMonkey. Start with a stock photo. Oh, it doesn't say. I know it says it on the website. I thought it said the name of the site too on the mobile app too. Let me see here. Create new stock photos. So it's iStock by Getty and Unsplash is what's integrated inside of the stock photos section of PicMonkey. So iStock by, I was going to say Getty Images, but I was like, I don't think it's iStock by Getty and then Unsplash. But Pixabay is also a really great site if you don't mind going through all the places or searching through stuff. How to switch cameras on a live stream and have stable audio. Okay. It's a good question. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is another piece of equipment that you can have. So I guess we can talk mic and cameras. 1 second here. Let me just make sure. Oh, you know why? I did it with the wrong animation. That's why it keeps doing it. So it keeps switching scenes and it pulls up the wrong one, and that's my bad. That was my bad. Let me fix it while we're all together. Okay, lower thirds. It's lower thirds. And get rid of the sponsored videos. And Pixelpedia, just FYI, there will be a separate dedicated video that's coming on the Elgato Stream Deck. So this is the one I want. This is it. And when we're going to loop it. There we go. Let's lock that up. Lock it up. So one of the things you're going to need a camera, right? So you're going to need a camera to be live streaming. Now, what I'm currently using is the Panasonic G7. And here's a few things that I like about it and a few things that I don't like about it. I will say that the autofocus on it is atrocious. So every time that I feel like I'm out of focus or something like that, I have, I'll show you guys, a little remote like this that I bought separately so that it can hang on a long cable, because it's really annoying to get up, push the button, come back, and then if you're not in the scene, then it's not going to focus on you. You know what I'm saying? So watch this. You're going to get really blurry, and then hopefully you're going to come back on my face. But I think it tried to do the mic. Hold on. All right. You see what I'm saying? It takes a really, really long time for that autofocus to come through, first of all, right? Not a huge fan of that. But so watch this. You're going to get really blurry, and then hopefully you're going to... The remote is really, really helpful and handy to have. Oh, I think I finally got the Ross brand. Hey. I'm going to respond real quick. Sometimes I can't see, though, around all of this stuff. Hello! Exclamation point. All right. So I am using the Panasonic G7. Like I said, really awful for autofocus. It takes a really long time to try and get the color stuff down. Also, the kit lens that it comes with, I wasn't a fan, so I actually had to purchase another lens for it. And if you guys don't know any of the equipment, if you want to know any of the equipment that I'm talking about, you can actually check it out. The very first, I think, link in the description box. I tossed everything in my Amazon store, so it's at least in one spot, so you can check it out. And it's all there. Everything I'm talking about, it's all linked down there. So if you don't really want to hear me yammer on about anything, you can actually just click on the link and go to the store. But so one of the things that you're going to need then, if you use the Panasonic G7 though, is you're going to need a micro HDMI that's going to go from that into, I'm using a Cam Link, which is the capture card basically. So it's going to hook up USB slot to the iMac, which I'm going into. It has an HDMI cable at the end of it. The other side of the HDMI cable is not the regular one, but the micro one that fits into the camera. So now, just to have this, and it's on, of course, on a tripod. So we've got the camera, we've got the remote for the lens to focus. We've got the HDMI cable, the micro HDMI cable going into the Cam Link, which goes into the computer. Okay, and the reason that we do this is because you need to be able to have a way to bring in the video source into your camera or your computer. And this particular camera, which I think is on sale right now for about $497, don't quote me on that. So it's about $500, and it's one of the few that is going to be able to record in 4K as well as provide clean HDMI. So that means when you are pushing out a signal and hooking it up to a computer, if you've ever noticed you hook up to certain Canons and stuff like that before the EOS Utility update, this is before, it would have all that junk on the screen. Like it would show you your shutter speed and your ISO and all that kind of information. You're like, how do I get rid of this? And there is some ways to try and do that. And that was like, you know, try and be in manual focus and take off the on-screen display. And sometimes, you know, if you lift up your foot and like have your tinfoil hat on and then don't move very much, there's a lot of conditions, okay, for it to work correctly. And then they also had released this EOS Utility, and this made it so that you could take your 3.5 is your not micro USB but mini USB to USB A, and then hook that up to go from your Canon camera directly to the USB port. And using the EOS utility, the web utility, you could then use your camera as a clean HDMI. So they remove all the junk if you're using the utility. So the thing about that is, ever since I upgraded my operating system, there's been some hits and misses where sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it just cycles on and off every few seconds. And as you can tell, that's definitely not going to work for a live stream. It's just not the best. So I stopped using the Canon, which is a bummer because I like the Canon camera better than the Panasonic, because I like the lens better on the Canon. But I need something reliable, and so that's why I'm on the Panasonic right now. So you guys tell me if the coloring is okay. You guys let me know. So the thing about that, we're only reaching the surface here when it comes to video, right? So what I'm getting at is camera. So you have all these different options for camera. Now, one thing that's really, really nice is if you have something, a service like you're using, like Ecamm, StreamYard, Restream, whatever else it is, you could do something kind of like there's different ways to do this. One, you could have like an additional cell phone, and you could be on Wi-Fi and go in via a link and add yourself as a guest. And so one thing that I've done before, I did this once, I put an arm kind of like for the mic, and I put a phone mount, and then I dialed in to the call from that cell phone, and then I did it as a top-down shot, and I did that in the Pixel phone unboxing. So if you want to see what that looks like, you could see that you could use that as a secondary source and then run them side by side. So if I had a guest with me or something, which I do not right now, it would look something like this, where this side over here would be my overhead camera, and I could assign it as a spot or as a person, or I could like move in and do like a shot like this. And the way that I'm manipulating this is that I am using the Elgato Stream Deck. So we're going to get into this, and you don't need to have it. You can definitely use a mouse, but having the Stream Deck does make it easier because you literally press a button and you can configure it to be able to work the way that you want. Okay, so what questions do we have so far? Let me know, because I just tossed a lot at you. I know this. I do. Trust me, I know. Says my video quality is off the charts. Amazing. Thank you so much, Ross. That is so nice. I'm pinning that comment. Sorry, it's because I'm literally looking around a phone to try and like be able to like look at this. So, sweet. That's good to know. It's good to hear though. I appreciate that. All right, questions? Guys, questions. Let me know. How much is the Stream Deck? I think it's $149. You're gonna make me look though, aren't you? You're gonna make me look. See? And this is why it's linked in the Elgato Stream Deck. Now here's the thing, is there are 3 different sizes depending on how much change up you need. There's one where it's like I think like 4 There's one with like 15. I have the 15, and then there's like the Big Daddy, which is like 32 or 30 buttons or something like that. And some of the stuff was like really expensive only because, you know, how you couldn't get the Logitech C920 like webcam when everyone was starting to go into pandemic because everyone was doing all this stuff for streaming. It was kind of the same, but I think it's like $150, $129. Don't quote me. I could go back in my orders and actually see. Elgato. You're asking the hard questions, man. You're gonna make me low look. Okay, so sorry. The options are 15 keys, 32 keys, and 6 keys. I definitely don't recommend the 6 because once you're in it, you find there's just so many different ones that you want to do. So like I have, this is one right here. This is just the plain camera, and then this is the socials. And of course I could program it so that things go in sequential order and do a better job, but this is the way that I like to do it. So like this is technically a scene, and then my subscribe button is a scene. So here we go on the channel members one. This is technically 4 scenes already here, and then we've got 5. So this is just, I would already be out on the 6th one, you know? So, all right. View this order. Yeah, so the 15 key was $149 when I bought it on Amazon. So don't quote me on what the price is going to be when you go to purchase it, but I'm saying when I bought mine, it was $149, and I think that that was like the regular price. Okay. Okay. So, one second here. Where were we? Okay, so that's additional cameras and whatnot. So one benefit of going with the Canon EOS Utility, if that works for you, is you just need the you need the mini USB to USB-A cable, and that's going to run you about $10, $12. And then you need an available USB port on your computer. If you're going to go the other route, and one thing about it is I think it's going to be higher quality, like I'm doing with the Panasonic into the Elgato, not to be confused because it's the same company that makes both pieces. The Elgato, the capture card, as well as the Elgato Stream Deck. So both separate pieces. The capture card was about $129. Now there are knockoffs for about $25, $30 that I've seen out there. In fact, I purchased 2 because I wanted to give it a shot. One of them dead out of the box, and the other one was intermittent in working or not. So now I'm at $50, and I've got one that works every once in a while and one that completely doesn't work at all. So I know that there are some out there that maybe are better than others. I remember I bought 3 thinking, oh, this is great. I can have one on, you know, a laptop and one on a desktop and never have to worry about and then have a backup just in case, you know, the Elgato fries. It didn't work out for me. I'm just going to say that. I think I already answered your question. Oh no, I just got to scroll down. How to play commercials and videos on a live stream in Restream. So there's actually several ways that you can do it. You can link to a video, and you can do it in Ecamm too, but you can link to a video file, and then as soon as you play a video file, it goes off screen, like your microphone turns off and it just takes over the screen and plays. And you can do the same thing inside of Restream. And actually, one thing that I think is actually really cool, I am not someone who does the put up a pre-recorded video, premiere it as like a live video type of thing, but they do have the option where you can schedule an event like a premiere to go out with a video that was pre-recorded. You upload it to Restream, and then you schedule it for when it's going to go live, and then it will kind of premiere at that time and go live, which I think is a really great feature if you wanted to do that too. So there's that. Hopefully that answered that question for you. Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure that you guys are, oops. Okay, so that was still Ross. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, Ross. Okay, so where were we? You guys have to remind me because my squirrel brain. I think that the Panasonic into the video capture card and the micro HDMI cable does provide a clearer, higher quality signal. Yes. But personally for me, I really love that Sigma lens. Okay, next we're going to move on to microphones. Okay, so one of the things that's important when you're doing a live stream is going to be not only how do you look, but how do you sound. And so I have gone through a lot of different microphones, and I have opinions on a lot of different microphones. So there's that, and we're going to start going through them. I think that for a lot of people are going to end up sometimes in something that's probably going to be a USB microphone because it's super easy. You plug it in, you're good to go, right? There's no drivers. You select it as an audio input and it's good. And some of the most common USB microphones are going to be something like the Blue Yeti, the Blue Snowball, and one that I really, really like, the microphone. Oh, it's just out of reach. It's so close. Got it. Okay. This is one that I've been using. You guys have seen it tons of times before, but this is the Shure Mv51. And so it has like a little stand on the back. It has like this little gray nubby. You can set it up on the stand. You can kind of like set it down. It kind of articulates out. It's like made of metal. It's like, this thing is heavy. It's like a weapon, I'm telling you right now. So this is a big condenser mic, and one thing that's really nice about it, it hooks up micro USB here for your power, and it has a headphone monitoring jack, which is really great. One thing that's also very cool about this particular mic, which is, don't quote me, I think it's $149, okay? This particular mic, oh, you can also unscrew the little thing and then put it on a mic stand or like a thing like I have this microphone on, which we'll talk about in a minute. So not only does this look awesome, because I love the retro feel of it, it actually has a quick mute on the front, which this mic, which is almost triple the price, does not have. Boggles the mind that there is no quick mute on this mic. I digress. This one is going to give you 5 different audio patterns that you can actually go through, and you can select them, and it's all touch. So then you can do the headphone monitoring, and you can do all of that all with the touch of a button here. And you can like slide value for your audio volume as well. So this is just a really awesome mic. And what's really great about it is you can do a micro USB to USB-A, so you can hook it up to your computer. And then it gets better. Oh yes, you can do a micro USB to like a C connection, so you could actually hook this up to a smartphone, and then you can also do micro USB to a lightning cable as well, and you can hook this up to your iPhone. So I think this is one of the most versatile mics that you can get because you can use it in like any different kind of configuration, and I love that about this mic. So you can do that with all the different cables and have your options there. All right, the next mic that I also think is really, really, really good is the Deity V3 Pro mic. So what's really cool about it is it basically has a cable that has the TRS, don't quote me on that, kind of like smart configuration inside of it. So you can hook this to your computer, you can hook this to a smartphone, you can hook it to a camera, DSLR, and it is going to actually still record. And one thing that's different between some, you'll see it a lot on the road, you need the adapter to go from the 2 black bars on the input to the 3 black bars, which is the third one is for the mic input one. It's already built in, so that's sweet. Now, one thing is if you want to, this particular mic that we're listening on right now, this is the Shure SM7B. This is like really popular for podcasters and streamers and everything like that. It is also a condenser mic. You got to be pretty close to it. One, it's heavy. It's very heavy. Okay. 2, one I don't think I like about this though is that it does not have a quick mute button. I don't know how that's not a thing. Like, how does it not have a mute button? But yeah. Anyways, it doesn't. I wish it did. One of the things about this is because it has an XLR input, which is the big round plug instead of a USB, you have to run through an audio interface to hook this up to your computer. Now, so the software that I'm using 2. I'm using Ecamm as well as using Restream. So I'm pushing, SM7B. It's a dynamic mic, not a, I think I said condenser, sorry. This one. The Mv51. This is a condenser mic. Yes, this is a dynamic mic. Sorry. Thanks, Ross. I didn't know you were still out there. So The thing about this, you're going to need with the XLR input, you have to run this through an audio interface and then you can run it into your computer. So I am using the Scarlett 2i, which is by Focusrite. And one nice thing about this, it has 2 inputs so that if I had a guest with me, I could have another input and run that through. I could also, I play acoustic guitar, and so it's an electric acoustic guitar, and I can plug into the front of my audio interface so that I can amplify the sound of my guitar as well. So it's 2 inputs. So Scarlett 2i is for the 2 inputs. So, but the thing is that this particular mic, it also requires, usually for it to sound best, you need a cloud lifter or some sort of thing that's going to up the decibel level on it. So once you get into like this mic, this whole setup is going to be a lot more expensive than going with something, than going with something like this, or going with like the Blue Yeti, which is about $129. But again, it's USB only, and so you would need to, sometimes you can use an adapter to go from like a 3.5mm to a USB, so you could plug in the Blue Yeti. Varying results on how good that sounds. This one will actually sound really, really great. And the nice thing is there's a Shure Mv app that you can actually go in and mess with the sound settings as well. That makes it a lot better. So if you're going to do something that needs to be versatile across lots of different things, you don't want to mess with an interface or anything like that, get something like this or the Shure Mv88 Plus. The 88, not the 88 Plus, only has the Lightning for iPhones and will not work on like your devices that are taking USB-C or anything like that. So you want to make sure that it is the Mv88 Plus, which will come with a Pixie Manfrotto stand, which is going to be a guy like this, which is going to come with a phone holder, which the only gripe about that is that it doesn't actually also support vertical. It only supports a landscape one, but it does have like a cold shoe mount at the top so that you can have the microphone. That microphone also has a 3.5mm input so you can monitor the sound. So I would definitely recommend the Shure Mv88 Plus if you're going to go that route. Okay. Yeah. Just in general, the Shure brand, I love Shure. So, Shure's really good. Rode's really good. A lot of them are really good, but my heart always lies with Shure. And back in the day, I still actually have it's funny because I was watching a stream with Dean Nimmin, and you know, you guys know he's stuck in Mexico right now and everything. And he is using a Shure SM58, and it's like a little handheld microphone like that. And I remember I was like, that mic looks so familiar, and I was like, I have a PG48 and an SM58, and it was a nostalgic time. That's a side story you guys don't really care about anyways. I really, really like Shure products though, so just FYI. But here's the deal, is once you get into this is kind of like you're sitting at a desk or someplace and you're set up and you're not really going to be futzing around with this very much. Like, you're kind of like, this is your station, because this is not something that you want to disassemble and assemble all the time, every time you want to like record a video or anything like that. Like, so you want to keep that in mind. And it's also not only expensive, but it takes up a lot of room because you have to have the microphone stand, you have to have the audio interface, the cloud lifter, and then you have to have all of this, you know, available space to put all this stuff. So again, if you're looking for ease, simplicity, stuff like that, then you go with something like this. If you're looking for a little bit, I think, higher end experience, and sometimes you might want to go with something like this. But that's all different price ranges. I hope that helps with that. Electro Voice is great too. Ross, you're still out there. In fact, if you guys don't know Ross, he's part of Livestream Universe. If you want, I'm more than happy to bring you on. You want to be a guest? I mean, if you do, let me know. I will send you a link. You're more than welcome to come in. You would be perfect to come talk about this stuff. You're in the whole Livestream Universe thing. So let me know. If you want to come in, I will definitely get you an invite in here. Okay, so we've talked microphones, we've talked cameras. The next thing we got to talk about is lighting. And if you guys are following along with anything inside of the, it's all, like I said, it's all in the Amazon shop. So if I forget anything, you guys can just like be like, hey, what's this? I saw it in your shop. Let me know. Okay. Oh, okay. Sweet. Let me pop into my DMs and I will you're on Facebook, so I'm telling you, let me pop into the instant messaging feature on Facebook, and I will send you the link. And then come in whenever you're ready. So let me get the link here. Copy the link. It's a very happy time. You guys hang out with me for 1 sec. Oh, you guys want a song? Let me give you a song for a second while I do my tippy-tappy typing. Alrighty, Ross, if you are listening, I have sent you said link. Feel free to pop in when you are ready. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is lighting. Lighting is something you will be messing with for the rest of your life, because I go back and I look at some of my very first videos and I cringe so hard. Oh, here he is. Ross is here. All right, so I see you in the green room. You give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come in, because I can't hear you. All right, so I'm going to bring you in after I assign you a spot. All right, I'm going to bring you in. Let's see here. Did I do it? Yes. Yes. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the show. Welcome. How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I see what mic you're using.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is my first time using Ecamm as a guest where I didn't have to go through Skype.
Yeah. They actually released this in October. It's the part of their new interview mode. And yeah, it's great. I love it. It's a pretty easy experience, right? You click on and then
piece of cake.
Yeah, it's super
very
simple.
Cool.
Yeah, I love it. And in fact, what it comes up, it shows up like a little telephone call, and then it just says like I can assign you, like I have placeholders for, you know, like guests or something, and it's like I assign you a spot, and then I pop you on screen, and like it's super simple. So
very nice.
I love it. Yeah. Okay, so
I feel a little naked without the green screen background. You're supposed to think that I'm in a studio somewhere.
If you want, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So for people who don't know you, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Ross Brand from Livestream Universe, and I host StreamYard Connect every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Would love to have you as a guest on the show. I always find if you ask when you're live, it's much harder for people to say no.
It's harder for people to say no, right? You're like under pressure. You're like,
I'd love to have you come back sometime. Would you like to do that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course. And then you're like, but you're on video. You said you wanted to be part of my... No, I will totally come be a guest.
No pressure.
No. I would love to. In fact, I was a guest on Dana Bentz's 2 Cents with Bentz not that long ago. And so, yeah, I love you guys over there. So happy to come be a guest anytime.
Cool.
Well, not anytime, because,
you know,
like when I'm available. Not just like randomly at like 3 o'clock. Like, we're going to have to work that out.
No, we actually have a set time and day and all that.
What time is it?
It's 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays.
Okay, you're Eastern though, so that's 3 hours ahead. So that's 11?
Like 11 a.m.
11 on Wednesdays? I just hold on.
It's funny how like Central and Mountain Time people are used to putting things into like East Coast time, but West Coast people think that it's fine to just go ahead and use that Pacific time. And
you know what though? I will say I always try so very hard to say, like, if I'm going live or something like that, I always put PST.
right.
Like in my announcements, I'm like 5:30 PST. 5 PST. Okay, so I have some meetings that go until like up until the endish of that. So like it could be like if you want to start 5 or 10 minutes late, which is kind of like a big pain. Like I hate when people do that, but it's like,
here's the thing.
Yes, if you want to riff.
Really cool thing. Here's a really cool thing. The guest segment starts like 2:15 or 2:20, and goes
then
to
we're good.
About 2:45, 2:50.
Oh, perfect.
So,
yeah. Okay, no, you're good then. We can do it. Totally do it.
And then I'll ask you while we're live, hey, are you able to stick around for a little while and then of course you want to seem like a good person, so you're going to say yes, and then we usually go an extra 15 minutes.
So you guys are hearing it first. The trick to either getting guests to come on your show, guests to come back to your show, or guests to stay longer on your show is to make them feel bad by publicly shaming them. You heard it here first, people.
Make them look gracious and friendly. Of course, I'm here for as long as you want.
Well, that works for some people, but other people, it's
to
harder.
Stay and talk to your audience.
It's harder when you got, I got schedules to keep. I live by my calendar, right? Don't we all live? Like, did you see when you immediately were like, it's a Wednesday? I'm like, let me check my calendar. Like, I was immediately in my phone. I was like, let me check my calendar.
Right. You're like, oh, no.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be breathing that day or if I'm going to be free. No, it's fine. Now, you tell me about Livestream Universe and what you guys do over there, because I think it's actually really, really interesting that you happen to pop into this particular live stream.
Yeah, so I was on Facebook, and it came up in my news feed, and I think you're great, by the way. So that's one of the reasons I thought it was I saw the iMovie thing. And so actually, before I get into the Livestream Universe, one of the things that caught my attention is that I'm thinking about, should I get Final Cut Pro or continue using ScreenFlow? And I've been a big fan of ScreenFlow, but I feel like it's a little bit slow, a little bit choppy on the new Mac, and maybe I want to go to Final Cut Pro. So when I saw your iMovie thing, I was thinking, well, maybe I should play around in iMovie first, because I assume that Final Cut Pro has some of the same format, some of the same things. I mean, I used to use iMovie, and I moved to ScreenFlow, which I thought was better, but I'm trying to decide, like, do I go to Final Cut Pro? So maybe I should go back to iMovie and see if I like the way that it sets up your shots and all that stuff, or is it like such a different experience? That I don't know. It
is a different experience. I mean, we can totally have this conversation. I know we had this conversation. Yeah. I think Caliber Wings was here last time when we were talking about differences between Final Cut Pro and iMovie, and it's a really common question. In fact, one of these days I should make a video on it and actually just take all of the stuff that I was saying before. But and
of course, you have a training course on iMovie, which is right in the description. It's like the first thing on Facebook, so people can click on that if they want to learn iMovie.
Yes, thank you for the plug. In fact, actually, I felt kind of funny about it today. It was so funny. Someone in Brian G. Johnson's, which if you guys aren't on Facebook and you wanted to join Brian G. Johnson's group, it's the Tube Ritual group, which was kind of like named after his book and everything. And he's in there, but he also has like a paid group and stuff. So it's nice to see him in there. In fact, yesterday was his birthday. So if you do join, make sure you say happy birthday, belated. But someone was posting today about like, hey, I haven't really done editing in a while, and I'm looking for, I don't know if they were specifying that it need to be free, but like if anyone has any like helpful tutorials or recommendations, and people were like saying stuff, and I had put a comment like, hey, just FYI, like I actually happen to have a course in iMovie as well as a whole bunch of tutorials on my channel. And then it was like 3 hours later, I saw that they had actually purchased my course. And I was like really surprised because like that never happens. Like that someone is just like a few hours later and you're like, I saw something on Facebook and I'm going to actually do it. Like I was really surprised that they actually purchased it, but I was like, I guess they're serious. They're really serious. They want to learn. So I was excited about that. It was one of those moments where it's like, yeah, you have to keep talking about what you offer. You can't just expect people know. Yeah. Which is like the worst because I hate doing that. But I was just like, and someone bought it. So that was really nice. But yes.
Do you do all your editing in iMovie, or do you use...
I do it in Final Cut Pro now. I did my first 100 videos in iMovie. So oh, sorry. Yes, this is all circling back to... See, you have to keep me on track because my squirrel brain will just be like, shiny objects, woo, woo, like, whatever.
I kind of taking you away from the audio, and the audio is kind of where you were in terms of gear. So I love audio. We can go. Okay.
Oh no, we can totally. Okay, so differences between Final Cut Pro and iMovie. So this is just kind of like not a full extensive because of course, we would have to be talking about it for a while. But iMovie does not let you do usually multiple overlays. So that's one of the big things. So if you feel that you're going to be in a place where you need to be able to do that and not have to process, come back, add each time for each overlay, then that's one of those times you really need Final Cut Pro.
So iMovie's only like 2 video tracks then or something?
Yeah, it's basically you can do your video track and then you can have an overlay, whether that's a video or a photo or whatever. And then you can add a title and then you can add, that's pretty much about it. And iMovie on iOS devices recently did an update where you can now, and this was never a thing before, you can actually move titles around on screen. So that used to be a big differentiating factor, is if you wanted to be able to move around a lot of the stuff with titles, you really needed to be in Final Cut Pro, or you'd have to create all of your stuff inside of like Keynote, export, and then put into iMovie as like an overlay. And so that was like the way around it. But iMovie on desktop has not, or laptop has not yet had that update. It's only on iOS, iPadOS devices. So I think it's really interesting. They did it on mobile first, but you would think if they have it that they're going to release it for desktop soon. So that's also going to be another thing right there. Also, if you're doing a lot of things with color grading, color matching, any of that kind of stuff that you want to do, the options are a lot more limited inside of iMovie than you're going to find inside Final Cut Pro. So if you're someone who really needs to do that kind of stuff, then Final Cut Pro. And then I would say the next thing is going to be if you need to be able to export in different sizes. So like there's kind of a hack where you can kind of do like a square, or you can, the only way you can really edit vertical videos if you kind of rotate it and do it on its side and then export it to a device and then turn it back around with QuickTime or your phone or something like that after you airdrop it. If you really need to be able to export to a square or a 1080 by 1350 4x5 or the 9x16, you really probably need to be in Final Cut Pro to really make that.
So Final Cut Pro, you can set the canvas to whatever you want, and then but you can't do that in iMovie. It's always going to be a horizontal. It's always
going to be a 16:9. The only way around that is then to go into like Keynote, set a slide size at the export size canvas that you want, and then shove that thing in there and export that video. So you can
make it transparent, or
you don't have to.
Okay.
You can do whatever, but then that's kind of like everything where people are always like, how do I do this? It's the magic is always in Keynote, exported, and then like brought into iMovie. So if you're not compared to like use Keynote and iMovie extensively like together, then that's also one of those like go to iMovie or go to Final Cut Pro type things.
The thing that I guess I didn't love about iMovie when I used it a few years ago was that I always had trouble like, where are my files? Where is my project and my files, and like where are my video clips and all that stuff?
They're where you left them.
Yeah.
that's the thing about iMovie. There's no like thing about like a library or like real. I mean, it's like it's where you left them. And like iMovie has lots of weird quirks. Like you can only crop certain things like while it's in the preview window and not while it's on your timeline. So like if you're not prepared for some weird little quirks like that, then you go into Final Cut Pro. Or if you're not prepared to work with them.
I because I'm thinking about this with like Final Cut Pro, I just like while I was watching you, I opened up iMovie and it pulls all these photos in from my iPhone. Like there's no chance any of them, 99% of them are ever going into a YouTube video or a live stream.
Well, that's because it's selected as a source, like your photos and stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's just funny. Like, it's like, what is that doing?
They're trying to keep it like simple, stupid, you know? It's like, oh, you're in this ecosystem. You might want this. And you're like, no, I really don't.
No.
Like, I really, really don't.
If I wanted it, it would long have been on my computer in a separate file or something.
Yeah. And no, you're completely right. And I will say the last thing that really Final Cut Pro has that like you're just never going to get in iMovie is if you is if you want to explore a lot with like plugins. So once you want to do any of those like weird funny animations and cool like making audiogram type things with the wave file or like stuff like that, you're probably almost always going to find a plugin for it versus having to do it inside of iMovie. So I would say those are the big differences.
Does Final Cut Pro have that progress bar that people put across like the square video? You know what I'm talking about?
You can do that now inside of iMovie.
I do it in ScreenFlow, but it's a pain.
Oh yeah, you can actually. I made a video about it. It's on my channel about how to do a progress bar in iMovie, and it's basically just using a keyframe with a lower third kind of like block or color or whatever, and you just have it move as long as your video is. So like that's the trick.
Oh, very cool.
yeah, it's a keyframe.
I did it as a transition, and then I like drag delay the transition so that it takes whatever. But for some reason, when I copy it from like one file to another in ScreenFlow, it's all off, and I got to do it again. The idea is I'd like to be able to copy it and never have to make one again. Just stretch just stretch the length to be like a minute or 30 seconds or whatever the video is.
Yeah. And in fact, you could just well, it's so easy to build it inside of like iMovie with literally you take a solid background and you shove it down like really low, and then you just have it keyframe across until it like hits across the whole bottom. It's so easy to set that up each time that it's not even worth, unless you really want to. You could export just that with as an overlay, but like it's so easy to set that up, it's kind of not even worth it because it's just
you could just make that the background, right? And then you put everything over it and you make it move. Okay.
Yeah, or you use it as like the overlay, or it's really
either way.
Yeah, either way, it's super simple to set up. James Pruitt said, "At least you're not being shamed for not following me on Twitter." So I was talking, what was it, last night or 2 nights ago? Was it yesterday? All my days run together now. But I was talking with Daniel Batal. He happened to pop into my live stream, and I had said something probably profound on Twitter, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't see that." I'm like, and I looked, and he's not even following me on Twitter, so I publicly shamed him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry," because he was on live, right? And he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I'll follow you." So I got another Twitter follower out of it. But
there you go.
But James Pruitt, I believe that Ross already follows me on Twitter, so he wouldn't be publicly flogged and shamed for it anyway. So I don't have to worry about that.
I could check. Twitter's not that far away on my computer.
Right? I'm like, I'm pretty sure you already follow me on Twitter. I'll go look. Are you about to be publicly shamed? No, I think you do, though.
No, I follow you.
No, it says we follow each other, so.
Yes, very good.
James Pruitt, you don't even know what you're saying right now. So we were talking about, though, gear needed for live streaming, and this is right up your alley. So we had talked a little bit about some of the microphones. And you're using the Shure SM7B as well. What audio interface are you running into?
I am using the MixPre 3 from Sound Devices. It's a combination audio interface, mixer, and recorder.
Oh, nice.
And it can function as all three at the same time. Nice. And what's beautiful about it is you can also, it's like really small. I would lift it up and put it in front of the camera, but I'm sure I'll pull a wire out.
It's hard. Yeah, no, same.
But it's like it can fit in the palm of my hand, and I can also attach it to a camera and use it as the audio device if I was shooting video out in the field or live streaming or whatever. It's amazing. It's amazing quality. It's like my favorite thing ever made.
I'll say I'm very much envious, and this is part of the title of like stuff I kind of do want, and then there's we talked about some stuff that I'm not really a fan of, like Zoom, but I really really want the Rodecaster like Pro board. Like I know D has it, and I mean there's so many great things about it, including like hooking up your phone and having these multiple audio inputs and having the ability to take like calls and a sound bank of audio things and like the ability to record to an SD card. I want it so bad. And I don't have it.
It's very cool. And it's very cool, and it's really good quality. I was surprised when it came out how good quality it is. Like the preamps, and you got separate headphones for everybody.
Yeah,
and,
like the 4 pod mics that you can.
I mean, it's literally amazing. A studio. It's like you're a recording studio.
I want one so bad. I do. I really do. I'm just like I am hooked on this idea of like I want one, but well, one, I never have any guests usually on my podcast, but like, it doesn't matter. I still want it. Like, there's just no logical reason that I need it, but I just want it. Does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how it works with gear.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like,
and then you get it and you start wondering like, why did I really get this anyway? And then you realize later, like, oh, look at all these things that I'm doing that I probably wouldn't have done.
Now I want everyone to know that even though I have like a list of all these different things, there's a mix of things that I started with, things that like I'm using now, and it's not like one of those like you have to get everything like at the shopping list before you can begin. It's like this is some of the stuff you will always be working on. Like you'll always be tinkering with lighting, you'll always be tinkering with audio, you'll always be like interested in new cameras and lenses and stuff like that. So please don't ever think that you need all of this stuff to continue when you could just start with a cell phone. It's totally fine and natural light. But I'm saying like if you guys are wanting the list of things that like make a live streaming experience better, this could be a list that includes some of those things. So please let's get that out at the very beginning. Okay, I'm not saying like if you don't have all this gear, you can't do this. That's not
almost anybody who's made it like to a level where they've been recognized for video, live streaming, podcasting, started and probably made their name, built their audience or whatever before they had the gear that they're using now.
Yeah.
So, you know, I used a USB mic that was like $49 for, you know, I used a built-in webcam in my MacBook Pro. And I used a lamp and had no background. I had a couple of doors behind me. And so, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff.
Evolving.
Like I upgraded the audio a couple of years ago. I upgraded the video stuff this year.
Yeah, you're always evolving that stuff. So to answer, Pixelpia is saying, what was the name of the audio thing that you were talking about earlier? Your mixer, I think is what she's talking about.
It's called a MixPre 3. It's from Sound Devices. It's modeled after what they use on like very high-end movie shoots. It's really high quality audio, but it's priced for creators. And so it doesn't have all the like live mixing features that they would use on some crazy movie set, but the quality is like just about there. It's really a beautiful piece of audio gear. So
I do not understand how there is not a quick mute button on this microphone. Like, am I missing something? Like, how do you have?
I don't think most higher end mics usually have something on them.
But like, even the Blue Yeti, $129, the Shure Mv51, you know, quick mute is so convenient. So like if I have a sneeze or a cough or something like that is coming in, like I don't want to blow out everyone's eardrums by actually leaving that in. So like I try and get away from the mic, but it's like, can we just have a quick mute button? Like how hard would it be? Just toss that on there just for a second. Like seriously, why is that so hard for companies?
Do you have one inside Ecamm? Can you like click? It's so much easier with a physical one though.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we were moving on to lighting, and I was saying that, so what I'm actually using, and I don't talk a lot about this, and in fact, someone was asking me about this the other day to actually make a video on it, and I was like, because it seems like overkill, and it is, but like I was saying, if you want to be shamed, or see my shame, be part of my shame, you can go back to some of my earliest videos, and my lighting was horrendous, and like it was the bluest thing. You would think I was Elsa. Like it was just, the whole thing was blue. Like I could not figure out anything. I was just like, yeah, it looks great. It looks so good. But now I currently use, I listed a ring light in the Amazon store. It's the, I don't know how you say it, but it's the newer, you know, the Neewer. I never can say it right.
I just spell it. I have no idea.
I'm going to call it the near. Newer. I don't know. There's a million ways you can say it incorrectly, and I've said them all. But I actually use 3 of them. So I use 3 across the front, and 2 of them are lower and on the sides, and just a little bit out, and a little bit kind of at a 45. And then there's 1 directly in front of me that's super high and angled down on me. And then I use a floor light that goes up against my head as kind of like my hair light, and then I've got the little fairy lights behind me. So that is my lighting setup. Is I use basically a shit ton of lights is the answer, but 3 ring lights and a floor light. So is the answer.
Lighting, I mean, your lighting is great because your video quality is great. So that must mean that your lighting is great because that's right. I mean, lighting is like lighting and camera is everything, right?
I think audio sometimes is like the most.
Oh, audio is by far the most important thing.
Yeah.
But for good video quality, even if you have a good camera, if you have really bad lighting.
Oh, it's so true. Because you can have like a $5,000 camera, but if you haven't figured out lighting, like you can have a $500 camera look way better.
Right.
Lighting is everything.
I still have a long way to go with lighting. I'm using these Viltrox. I got two LED like light panels that a friend of mine who's worked in TV for like 30 years recommended. They're only like $35 plus I got the a whatever you call it, the thing so you can plug it into the power strip and not have to charge the battery every time you go live. But I mean, they're great, but I probably could use more light on the green screen.
Yeah,
as you
green
can
screens
see.
are difficult because you have to keep it evenly lit for it not to have that kind of like dithering looking. Yeah.
When I have the background up, depending on how I'm focusing, it's not bad. But I'm using a Sony A6400
Oh, nice.
on autofocus, and it's pretty nice. I mean,
Yeah, I think the
it's
Sonys
first
are really
time I
good,
got
not
like
only
a
for the
mirrorless.
zoom, but like the quality looks really, really good on them. Like I was complaining earlier because even though like thank you, but it took a lot of time for even to try and dial in this coloring, and this is like hours of tinkering with this because this isn't my favorite camera, but it works right now because I've been having all kinds of issues with my Canon and the EOS Utility and software updates. So I was just like, I need something that works, and this works. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you said earlier you're using the Camlink, right?
I'm using a Camlink with a Panasonic G7. Yeah.
Yeah, the Camlink's good quality. I
Yeah.
like it.
And I have a couple of off-brand generic ones, which don't work. They didn't work. So disappointing.
Yeah, I paid a lot for it during the pandemic when I wanted to order it because I needed it. I've since gotten the A10 Mini Pro,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
so I can do fade to black.
Yeah.
It's a $600 fade to black machine.
That button was so worth it.
No, but I do want to do some multicam stuff. It's just right here in this little space that I'm in. It doesn't necessarily make sense. I don't necessarily have the right setup for that, but I look forward to taking this with me and actually doing some multicam stuff.
Yeah, I was using the Logitech C922 and on an arm similar to this with a little, screw with kind of like in place as an overhead down shot because I was like, oh, this will be good if I'm doing like phone or iPad tutorials to be able to show like what I'm like pushing buttons on. But I ran into, I just don't have enough USB ports. And so now I decided that I'm going to instead hook up my phone or iPad to the computer so I can just use QuickTime and use it as a camera source because the quality looks way better than the Logitech 922 like focusing, trying to focus. And that's the thing is like you guys don't understand like how much tinkering there's always going to be when you're trying to do your live stream setup because no one is going to ever get it 100% right off the bat. There's always going to be things that you're going to be working on, tweaking, and like that's just part of learning, growing, and doing it as part of the experience. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, and it's kind of part of the fun. Like I wanted to do that overhead shot that you were talking about. So I have a like a floor standing lamp, and apparently when you take the lampshade off, the whatever you would screw like the camera onto a tripod, it's the same. It was the same threading, like same size and everything. So I put it where the lampshade was on the top of the lamp, and that was like my overhead. My overhead 922x C922x shot, and I could bring that in just by opening another browser into StreamYard and bringing it in like a guest.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I did is I dialed in like with a link from like at one point for a different cell phone to be used as an overhead cam when I was doing like an unboxing for something,
Right.
And I'm like, there's so many different ways to get creative. And like, I think one of the things that you always have to kind of keep your head wrapped around is I think that a lot of people should practice going live because it really gets you on your game as opposed like going through options and trying to think on your feet, and you just don't get that unless you're actually practicing and doing it. So it's like I had my friend Eugene on, and it was this camera doesn't work, and what are we gonna do, and we can't do it, and okay, let's try it in Restream, let's try it in this thing, and you always go from like plan A, B, and C. But I feel like people who don't ever live stream, the first time they run up against something like that, they're like, oh, what do we do? And they freeze and they shut down and like nothing happens, so it just feel like you get a lot more like creative, you go with the flow and you figure out how to be when you're live streaming. Be in this constant state of chaos, which is kind of like the new norm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it makes it better when you have to do something like somebody asked me for a prediction, record like 32 seconds to a minute or whatever. And I don't have a teleprompter. So, you know, I could write something out, but then I'm staring at it and it's going to sound a little more stilted. So because I'm used to live streaming, it's just like, boom. Okay, I'm going to do this. If it's not good, I'll do it a second time. And then I'll listen to both back and probably choose the one that I don't think is, I think at the moment is better, right? And then I'll start, oh, well, there's this, then I'll listen to the other one, go, no, the other one really is much better. It's done. Cut off the end, cut off the beginning, and ship it. And it's like, you know, that was a lot easier than having to write out a script and, you know, so, yeah.
I do like that about live streaming, is you do just kind of like, this one's going to be ugly, but it's done. And I think that what's important about that kind of like mindset is that if you spend too much time trying to make things perfect, you actually just don't end up releasing them. Whereas opposed to something like live streaming, it's just like, it's not going to be edited. It just is what it is. And now it's out there versus the other thing. I'm going to try and take all this time to make it. Oh, no, this isn't the right time. And then it just doesn't become anything. And I love live streaming so much more just because like I like being able to have that immediacy when I want to talk to someone and have them comment back and respond back. Or like, you know, if you're in the comments and I can be like, hey, Ross, you want to come on? Like, it's just so much like more interactive than if I put out a recorded video. Like, and you're like, great video. It's like, well, that's great. But it's like, you know, instead I can be like, hey, jump in here. Let's have a conversation. Because that's what it is, you know? Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. And it's like the closest thing to hanging out with people, right, is to go live with them. And you can do everything from a formal show to just a hangout and in between, right? So, and like, the post shows are fun too. You ever like when I started in Blab, we would go live and we would record the show and do the interview and all that stuff, and then we would turn off the recording and just hang out for like half an hour and chat. And sometimes the chat would go for like 2 or 3 hours, and that's where the real conversation went down after the recording was turned off.
No, it's so true. And in fact, so I think I'm going to be, doing a video with Scott Peachy. I don't know if you know him. His channel is Technically Speaking. So he's also a very big Ecamm fan. And we were live streaming one night and Ecamm came into the chat and they were like, hey guys. And we were saying like, we should take over your channel. And they were like, okay. And so I told him this morning, and I was like, hey guys, we're going to go take over. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. But I was saying like, the video that I really want to do with him is like getting started. Like, so many people also think of using Ecamm or live streaming or whatever it is as the only thing you can do is broadcast to an audience. And I was just like, but it's so much more than that. So like my entire e-course that you mentioned earlier, all of my tutorials and on-screen stuff was actually recorded inside of like Ecamm so that I could be on screen and show my show my screen and do all this stuff. And I'm like, so you could be an educator. There's a lot of people who are doing it for things like church services. Like, it's so huge right now. You could be doing it for hanging out with friends and teleconferencing type things. I mean, there's so many other reasons that you could be using a live streaming software that you don't even think about sometimes. Or if you're a coach or consultant, you're using it as recording, or like even my friends who are like podcasting, and like people are like, oh yeah, there's all these other things you can do. It's not just about always live streaming. And sometimes you just record and you don't even go live. And so there's all these things that people don't like think about, you know?
Do you record your podcast live, or do you do podcasts totally separate from video?
This is under the assumption that my podcasts have current episodes.
Right.
No, so
mine have them whenever I feel like doing it.
That is exactly when my shows go live. So here's what I do. I know.
I really should just take a segment out. Like, this is a good segment from here, and go like, hey, I spoke to so-and-so about whatever. Listen to it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think one of my last...
Hey, the episode notes are right.
One of my very last podcast episodes was actually an interview with Daniel Batal, where I was being interviewed on his channel. But the thing is, it was actually just a YouTube video. But I was like, this is great conversation. So I was like, if you're not going to do anything with this audio recording, like, download it and send it to me, and I will put it up in my podcast. And so like that's so I took that conversation and I put it up as our podcast. And then I did the same with I think when I did an interview with Desiree, but that one was just us talking over Zoom and then downloading the audio. And so sometimes I will try and record them like live and do it. But now it's mainly like, it would be something nice to do in the future. And I'd like to be able to take snippets from any like random pop-ins, you know, like people or like, you know, 2 days ago, yesterday when Daniel Batal was on and we were doing that. I'm like, that would be a great episode. So my friend Viper also will do like actual live recorded podcast in video form. So you can watch the interview go down and then he strips out all the audio and tosses it up on Apple Podcasts and everything. But it's something that I aspire to do. I have not yet accomplished. So right now, sometimes I'll record it just by myself, usually in whatever. And I actually have decided, like, I don't like GarageBand. I don't like editing in GarageBand because it doesn't allow for double time speed playback, like the variable speedback. I don't know why. It's just, I can't listen to things at regular. I'm like, I got things to do. I gotta go. So I actually end up editing now all of my podcasts inside of Final Cut Pro, and I do double playback, and then I just throw like a still thing or like my logo with like the rays, whatever, kind of like going behind it. So now I'll export that and I'll throw it up on my podcast YouTube channel in case anyone wants to. Like, no one's really watching it, but I was like, it's at least up there. And then I rip out the audio and just do MP4, and then I put that up on, or MP3, and I put that up on Anchor. So I kind of do it at both at the same time.
Cool.
But in Final Cut Pro. So people are like, what do you use to edit your podcast? Final Cut Pro.
I use ScreenFlow to edit mine. I used to edit them in iMovie. And it's even better because when you have video, because usually mine are live streamed and then I take the video, it's like easier to edit the audio when you know exactly where to go. Like, that's where I need to cut it. And, you know, I can scroll the video along. Okay, I'm going to cut it after the guest left.
Yeah.
And I thank the guest. And before I started promoting next week's show or whatever, we'll cut it there because the podcast is not going to be released for the live, you know, in time to promote people, given the schedule that I keep for podcasts, right? But it's just like, it's so easy to look at the video and go, okay, that's where I was talking about that, or I had a graphic up at that time. And but even if not, it's just very simple to do it all in one editor. I'm sure, like, if I started using an audio editor, I would get used to it and I would see things that I could do or whatever. But I don't really do much processing or anything. I'm just...
Me either. Like, if anything, I throw an intro or an outro on it, maybe, and then I just make sure that the audio doesn't peak too much, and I call it a day. Like,
right.
Like, I just can't, like,
do I need to boost the audio, or do I need to like 100%, 150%, 80%? What's going to sound right?
Like, I just can't be bothered. And it's just one of those where it's like, hey, I want to get it out there. But it doesn't really matter to me that I don't know how to say that exactly, but you know what I mean.
Right.
It's just like,
I don't think it really matters.
I'd rather
that
get
much.
it out and have it be ugly than like not get it out at all. So I just be like, the fastest way to get it out there.
And with people listening on their phones and stuff, I'm not sure that like it really matters that much to most listeners if they're enjoying the content, whether you've done 10 more hours of work on the audio. There's certainly things you can do, like, but I just don't. I mean, I get a clean recording from this mic into the Mix Pre 3, and I don't even like do any processing or anything. I just, just decide if I need to boost the volume a little bit or turn it down a little bit, and that's it.
Well, I think that's one thing that is also great about live streams is because you don't go back and edit it. And I mean, usually you don't.
Right.
It's one of those, like, it is what it is, and it might be not the prettiest poop turd you've ever seen, but it's out there. You know what I mean? So
that's a great way to put it.
Well, and I think we all get like so in love with our content and like, my precious, we have to hold on to it until it's like perfect. And the truth is, like, it's kind of bullshit because there is no like perfect, and it's just better for it to be out, and I love that about live, and I love that about any kind of streaming service, because it's just like, there's no, like, you can't fool anyone. Like, this is just what it is, and like, and I think people appreciate that, because I think what is so lacking these days is sometimes just authenticity and just be in the moment, be with me. How did you really feel? How did you really react? What does that really mean? And just have it be like what it is, and just have it be like, this is how I feel at this point in time. And like, now we're going to move on from that. And like, I'm allowed to change my mind, but I feel like every single time that we all think that it has to be a certain way or perfect, or we have to maintain this image, it just becomes a way of editing ourselves to make it look like that instead of just having it be what it is.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I think most of the audience, like, think about you watching somebody that you like or don't like who does the news, let's just say on TV, right? You're not sitting there going, oh, Tom Brokaw had a great show today. Boy, was he on. Like, you just know you sort of like this person or you don't like that person. You like what they do or you don't like what they do. I'm sure it's the same way for most people who watch us. They don't like sit there going, oh, this was a great show. Oh, this show wasn't like, clearly he didn't have his finger on the audio button enough or whatever. Like, they just know they like it or they don't like it.
Well, and I feel like this is one of those weird, like, small places where they actually get to know you.
Oh, this show wasn't like,
I feel
where's
like
that coming from?
Oh, that was me. It accidentally played.
Oh, okay.
And then I had to mute it. But I'm saying I feel like people, they don't really get to know you until you probably are doing live streams, because they don't know what you're like until you've done like a whole bunch of mistakes, or like it's not going perfectly, or like this whole like pristine image that people think that you have is like this glass wall is shattered when they like realize what you're really like, you know? And it's just like, I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't want you to follow me if you don't even like me. And what's funny is because before it was just about like, you don't care anything about me, you just care for the information. And I'm now turning this edge in this corner to be more like, if you're going to be here, because a lot of my stuff is now becoming live streams, like you're going to actually have to care about me, or you know what I mean? But not in a selfish way. It's because like, I'm going to give you everything that you're coming here for, but like, I'd like to talk to you about it at the same time and not just have you come and use me and then like discard me and say that like everything else that I have to say is unimportant / you don't care about me. And I guess that's maybe selfish in my mind, but I'm really trying to get to my 1,000 true fans by being like, this is who I am. This is how I talk and how I speak and how I present myself. And I want you to be cool with that, as well as I'm going to show you really cool stuff along the way.
Right. I think that's smart, because when I'm looking for information on YouTube and I just like, I got a tripod one time and I couldn't figure out how to like adjust it or whatever. So I'm quickly looking for a video that somebody did on that tripod for how to do something. And as soon as I got the piece of information that I needed, I'm gone. I'm not sitting around thinking like, oh, I love this creator, or I want to learn more about them, or what. I got the information and I'm out of there, right? So I'm never going to become a true fan of that person, not because they didn't deliver for me, but just because I wasn't in the mindset of getting to know anybody. I had a task. I needed to get it done, and I went for that info, and that was it. So I think your approach is probably smart as far as turning people into fans. I spent the first 3 years of my life
being like, the truncated, here's what you came for and get out type thing, or not like get out, like I don't want you to leave, but it was more like, this is it, no fluff. And now I'm I want to be able to say what I want to. So I don't know, and that's selfish of me, but again, it's more like, I want my people. I want to build my tribe. I want like people to actually give a shit about me, because I've spent the last 4 years feeling like no one has cared about anything I have to say. And that's just like a weird feeling and place to be in, because like you don't really know my story, but I spent 18 months not growing at all. It was just declining. And so it was kind of like, I've spent enough time feeling like I was not worth enough people's attention to now just be like, if you don't want to be here for me, if you don't want to hear my stories, if you don't want to see me be a squirrel brain, then just don't. Go find another channel, because I'm going to, like, I'm not just chasing the algorithm now. Like, this is who I am. And so if you want to jive with me, that's cool. But, like, don't come at me and complain that I'm not giving you exactly the tutorial that you had from 2 years ago. When I'm like, yeah, I'm different. I'm changed now. So.
Well, also they can probably go watch the tutorial from 2 years ago and get that information.
And be just fine.
That's right.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
It's in a playlist somewhere. Just take a look around the channel.
It is. And I've just, yeah. And in fact, I was talking to Daniel about this. It was 2 days ago. And I was saying how someone had found me on like Facebook, and it started like, coming at me with like, I need to learn how to do this. Not like, hi, how are you? I like your stuff. It was like this entitled, like, teach me how to do this. And I was just kind of like put off by the whole thing. And it's just like, you obviously don't give a shit about me. You've messaged me on my like other, like, I find like the DM space to be like this sacred place. And like, I don't go in there unless I'm either invited or I've invited you in. And like, we have something like that we actually have to talk about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, I was almost like kind of offended by this. And I was just like, this is just people. And yeah, so that was just a weird, how dare you change, Shelly, is what Pixel P said.
Well, there's also, yeah, I mean, there's also the aspect of like, most people wouldn't ask a doctor that they didn't know, hey, can you examine me? And I'm not going to pay for it, but I need that exam right now. You're going to do it on your time, and you're going to give me all the information I need, and then I'm going to go away.
I felt so used at that point. I'm like, wow, that's... And I'm like, did you YouTube it? Did you Google it?
But people think because they're a follower or a social media friend that they get everything.
They're not. They were neither.
Right.
You know, and I was just
not even a channel member.
And I'm like, am I your personal Google? What? Like, no. And here's the thing. So Pixelpia happens to be a channel member. And in fact, so Pixelpia, if you had a question for me, I would be more than happy to make a short snippet video, send it to you now that we're following each other on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, and send it to you. Like, I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But I take issue with some of the entitlement that some people have. So I had a video, and I was talking with Daniel about this. It was 3 minutes and 8 seconds, and I, do the usual 45-second intro, subscribe, here's something new that's happening, blah, blah, blah. Here's what we're getting into. Someone commented, like, video starts at 1.08. And I was like, actually, asshole, the video starts at 0.00. And I'm sorry that this 3-minute video that you could play at double speed was too much for you. I just felt like, I was just like, that's so rude. I would never go to someone's video and be like, what you're actually looking for is at 1 minute and 8 seconds. Like, who does that?
Right.
Who does that? Anyways.
It's what you got to deal with when you're on the internet, right? It's nobody would come up to you and say that in public, but they would feel no problem saying it on your...
And they walk right up to you and to your face and be like, you need to show me how to do this. I'm like, I don't need to do shit. Like, nice to meet you. Hello. Would you like to have coffee? How's your day going? How's the weather? Is it snowing? No, like you need to, and I'm like, no, I don't have to do that. Anyways, right. So the Cooking Cop and Babe says, we have a Sony ZV-1 and we want to use it to do more YouTube lives as soon as he is better. And I want to know how to connect it to a MacBook Pro. So the Sony ZV-1, maybe but the Sony, does that also, you could do it into an Elgato, I'm sure, but it doesn't have like a utility kind of like EOS, like Canon does, right? I don't think Sony has done that, or have they released that now?
I think they have one from Mac, but I'm not positive. But this is probably
I think the Cam Link is going to be the way to do it, and they have a micro HDMI cable that comes out of that. One thing that we did not mention, I would say, so this live, I don't even know, maybe it's an hour. I did a live last night, 3 hours. I did a live with Daniel Patel. I think it was like an hour and a half. One thing you absolutely are going to have is going to be an AC adapter so that it works as a dummy battery inside of your camera. I have those linked inside the Amazon shop as well. You're going to want to have that because the last thing you want to do is have your battery die and then your entire stream die because your camera didn't have enough battery life. Now, on that note, I always think that sometimes it would be a very good idea to have a backup camera source. So in case something does happen, like your camera dies, you can, even as crappy as it is, you can go to the webcam that's built into your laptop or your whatever. I used to have like an extra webcam like hooked up just in case something died. But sometimes it's nice to have contingency plans. You just never know.
Right.
But yeah, I believe that
your phone's a great camera too.
Oh,
I could use my phone, either like plug it into the A10 Mini Pro or just use it as like a guest, bring it in like a guest and have that shot. It's just that I want to use it as a phone too. Like, not so much to talk on, but I want to just be able to grab it and take it with me all the time. Yeah. I don't want to like shut it off and then like change the settings and set it up and all that. That's the only thing. Like when I get my next phone, this phone will become a very good camera.
Yeah. And there's great programs out there like Switcher Studios or stuff. You can use like your phone or your iPad or anything like that as basically either a source, or you can use it as like basically a switcher, and you can kind of do a multicam situation. On your phone, you can use like Filmic Pro or something like that, so you can hook it up so that your phone can become an input. That's a really great way to do it. There's also another one, I think it's like Irium or something like that, where you can also hook it up, and also it just is a full screen of camera so that you can use that without a whole bunch of gunk on the screen as well. So I mean, there's lots of different ways. If you have extra cell phones lying around, which sometimes a lot of us do, the quality inside of that is going to be usually 1080p and high enough and look really great, because again, so much of it is about the lighting. So you could take an old cell phone and just make sure that the lighting is really good. It's still going to look better than also on my Twitter, I did a comparison between the C920 and the C922 Logitech. They look like bukkake. They look awful. So I would much rather use my iPhone 10 or my Pixel 4 or, you know, any other like low-end smartphone is still going to look better than those webcams. And so I just, yeah, if you have extra cell phones, iPads, iPods, anything like that, you can get all of those and they will all work fine.
Even my old iPod Touch probably has a good camera in it. I just don't think about it, but I really should charge it. Yeah, and it doesn't keep a charge very long.
Well, and if it's already plugged in, though, and on full power the whole time, then it doesn't really need to.
I could just plug it into the USB and leave it.
Yeah, and so you could use that. I use that on a like a phone mount like this, like I said, and I did a top-down mount on an arm like this, and I have the little screws and everything to change the adapter, you know, from 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch, whatever inch you need, and basically that is serving as the overhead shot for a lot of it. So if you have an iPad, an iPod, an old iPhone, whatever, that will totally work. So like you can get creative, and you can buy sometimes old webcams. That's what I had mounted overhead for a while. Like that was a great way to do it. So there's tons of ways that you can get creative. You don't have to have like really, really expensive cameras to do these multi-camera shots.
Right. And your main camera is the one that you want to be most concerned about the quality. If you have something that you're switching off to for a couple seconds every once in a great while, that camera doesn't have to be the same. It's not like you're making a motion picture for the theaters or something. You don't have to have a B camera that's like the exact same quality and color and all that. You're just basically showing people another angle for a minute or two, and then you're going back probably to your main. Yeah. If it's kind of a talking head or, you know, that kind of show.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do like about like being eCam and hooking it up to like the Stream Deck or something like that is I'm able to cycle through like these different scenes and such. So I was saying like, here we are in crop and now we're in wide, or I can just have my guest on here. And the nice thing about this is it makes it seem like this is more of a produced type of video versus just us staring at. So I'm saying this is all the next upgraded level. So when you guys are ready, then you throw in an iPod or whatever as a second source, or you have your guest, or like the way that you have them on screen. This is when you really start to play with upping your game. So
you're doing those changes, the switching in the Stream Deck?
Oh, I'm doing it on the Stream Deck. Yeah. So the nice thing is you can assign.
You're programming that. Okay.
Yeah. And there is going to be a video. So Pixelpia, if you're still out there, because I know you just picked up the Elgato Stream Deck as well, I am going to be making a video specifically on that, so you can kind of see. And one thing that I did is I also, like, I made my own little, like, emojis to put as, like, the little pictures on the buttons, because they're programmable to whatever you want. So it's nice that I can actually push one that says, like, socials, and it's purple, and I know exactly what I'm pushing as I'm doing it. So.
Right.
Yeah,
I think StreamYard's working on that, is working on Elgato integration for the Stream Deck. So I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm changing cameras, I can do that on the A10 Mini Pro. But if I'm changing within StreamYard like layouts, then I can use the Elgato Stream Deck and don't have to be like, because I've always done it reaching for my mouse. Like even on Wirecast, I would do it with my mouse. And it's like, I'm talking, okay, I'm about to change stories or topics. Yeah. Okay, got to get the mouse right.
Yeah, and you can try and program it with the quick keys. But like I have found that like, the Stream Deck is so nice, because one thing is, because I have the Panasonic camera here, and because all of the time when I'm recording inside of eCam, it just is saving a copy to my computer just via whatever. I've actually started recording my main channel, like regular Sunday videos, through this as well. So I just record it and do the offline recording and download it and then shove it into Final Cut Pro and do my edits and then finish. And so one thing that's really nice about having the Stream Deck is I have the 4 in a row. So it has like my purple socials that come up, the subscribe animation that comes up, my member shout out, and then like my self promo. So I have them like 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of being able to memorize the hotkeys, I just know I start from the left and I go right, and I just kind of talk and I look at the camera and I know what I'm switching on the Stream Deck so that I don't have to like click a mouse or do a hotkey. And so that has been helpful because I can just kind of run through that and have it still look like a normal recorded video because it has all the same elements.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Do you play any audio from it or?
Yes, I do.
Like
so I have a whole bunch of music that's downloaded from Audio Hero because, you know, you have TubeBuddy, so you get free songs from Audio Hero. So like I just have a whole library of them, then I just play them at random for streams. I don't really play it for anything else.
I should take a look at Audio Hero. I haven't done that.
Are you? Yeah, you're with TubeBuddy too, right?
I'm a whatever
Legend
subscriber or whatever. I got the plan.
As long as you're on any paid version that isn't the free version, then you get. Although Beanie Draws did tell me, he said that he believed that they had upped their limit from 10 songs to 20 songs. I don't know if that's true. I just because I go in and I randomly I sort by genre or beats per minute, and I just look for some songs, and I just download some occasionally when I pop in, and I just toss them in a list called Music for Social Media because the nice thing is I can use it on like Instagram or whatever, and I just shove it all in a folder and call it good. So I would definitely check it out. It's all free.
Like I have a subscription to Deposit Photos for stock photos, which I hardly use, but when I need something like really high quality, I've got a certain number that I can download. And I got an email that they added music, and I got all excited, like, okay, so video's like a one download every time I want some video, every time I want a photo. No, it was like $39 per song or something. Not to mess around with.
Yeah,
that's too much to just have something to try here and there or whatever. So my next thought was I should sign up for the affiliate program and then just leave the watermark in. You know, it plays the music, and then the guy comes on and goes, Deposit Photos. And
I just liked it.
I just put up like a lower third that says, you know, like livestreamuniverse.com/music or something for people. And then it's like it's sponsored instead of not really sponsored, but you know, I don't know. I thought it was a clever idea. I don't know how that would really sound in real life. But.
Well, I place a little music in any of my videos only like during a live stream anyway, that it's worked out fine for me. And in fact, I can go in and search for songs that are like between like 30 and 60 seconds because those are great for like shorts, or like I had done like these speed lapses or something. And so like I find it really, really easy that I can go at any time and just have this folder of music that I know is okay, you know, to use.
Right.
Because music is like one of the stupidest, hardest things sometimes when you're on social media and trying to be like, where can I put this and not get dinged or something. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I downloaded some from the YouTube library. They're okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's okay. And I downloaded a few things from the Facebook library.
Oh, I didn't know Facebook. I'm not surprised that they do have a library. Maybe I did know that, but yeah, I've done.
They had it in their first version of like Creator. They had that Creator app for a while, and then they killed it.
Before they killed it, yeah, that was weird.
So maybe Creator Studio now has it. I don't know, but they had some decent stuff.
I was gonna say advice that you have for new streamers, experienced streamers, all the streamers in between.
Okay. So for new streamers, start out short, start out on your personal profile and pick a topic that isn't necessarily related to your business, just something you're passionate about, and go live, introduce yourself, talk about it, think about what you want to say to start and end, maybe script your start and end the first time, and everything else in between. If you're talking about something you're passionate about, will probably be just fine. And just keep doing that a few more times. And then once you get comfortable, you can move to either YouTube or to your Facebook business page or what have you. And eventually you can if you want to use it for business, you can start doing that. But I say start on your personal profile. You'll get some people dropping in, friends, family, and you just have fun with it in the beginning and get comfortable with it.
I like to
That
call
would
it
be
the
my
fun and
advice to
done.
new people.
You
Yeah.
know? Keep it fun and then be done. Because like
Right.
no one wants to watch you suffer like through it. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, and everyone thinks like, oh, I've got to be a Nimin and go for 5 hours. And I'm like, no, you don't. You can do 5 minutes. You can do 5-minute stream, if anything, you know, like keep it fun, then be done. Like it's fine. I feel like the people who end up like shooting the shit a lot longer are the ones who are just a lot more comfortable with either the silence or the awkwardness or the like whatever, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
But I find a lot of the people who are newer and like really nervous about it, it's like it's really easy to have your post-it notes or have your like plan of what you're going to talk about beforehand. And then, you know, it's interesting because I don't know what it is, but there's something very scary for so many people. It's like that public speaking thing. It's like,
Right.
and I'm like, why are you scared if no one is going to show up? Shouldn't that be the easiest thing either? Because like if no one saw it, you can delete it. Right. You should be nervous when you show up and 1 million people show up, you know? Like
that's always the first thing. Like, what if I go live and nobody shows up? And
Right.
I'm always like, well, of the 100 things I worried about the first time I went live, that wasn't one of them.
And I'm like, what? Are they going to heckle
like,
you? Like the nobodies? The no one
Nobody
there?
shows up. You just do. That's the other thing. You just do what you came on to do, even
Exactly.
if nobody shows up, because you want to get the experience. And also, once you start doing it regularly or you have a show or whatever, there's going to be times where you don't have much of an audience, but you still want to deliver your content because you can repurpose it. And if one person shows up, you want them to have a good experience. Who knows? They could become a client or a friend or a guest or what have you.
Yeah. I feel like, and I had given this advice in the like what to do when no one is watching, especially when you're like new and getting in there. It's just like, just have something else that you already like were planning to talk about. I think the worst is when people are like, once people show up, then that will determine what we're going to talk about in the mood and the audience. And I'm like, who's running this live stream? Isn't it you?
Right.
Don't you set the agenda? Don't you know what you want to talk about? If you don't have anything to talk about, if you're just coming on to hang on, like, or hang out, like, that's different. I mean, that's a way to do it, but like, that's why you're nervous, because you're waiting on all of this to be hinged on other people providing some sort of input to you. And I'm like, what are you going to do then if nobody shows up? And you're going to feel like all of your time was wasted. You're like, or you just come in, say what you needed to say, be fun, and be done. Like, that's it. Be fun and be done. Like, I don't know. Why it's
and
hard.
if you have an idea that you want to talk about something, and then the audience comes in and wants to talk about something else, and you want to veer, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you don't have a plan and you're waiting on the audience to give you one,
exactly,
you just might not have the audience that you were hoping for that day, whether they're not commenting or maybe they don't show up, or, you know, one time I went live and I didn't understand why nobody was there. And then like, oh, Zuckerberg's live on Facebook. Well, I'm guessing they're going to be pushing his a little bit more than they're going to be
I think more people know
mine.
who he is. Whatever.
He pops up in their newsfeed probably before I do on that day, I think, if it's like some big announcement or something about Facebook. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And if you do what you do, like, you don't think about the number of people, you just think about doing what you're there to do and do the best that you can, then you shouldn't get flustered either if a lot of people show up, because that can happen at times too, just totally unexpected. And you don't go like, oh, I got a lot of people here, now I'm going to do my best. Like, you should be having fun and doing whatever you do at the level that you can do it. Right. And so if there's a lot of people, or you're on a bigger stage, it doesn't mean that I got to change things up or whatever. You do what you know how to do, and that's why people came in the first place. So that's there's so many different things. I'm a big believer, like when people start to do a show and like have a time and a day and just keep hitting that home, and then after you've been doing it for a while and you build up some following, then you can still take that route, but I don't think you have to anymore. You can be much more spontaneous with it.
one thing that people also forget with live streaming is that it is a slow grind, just like making YouTube videos, because you can't always expect that people, I mean, I think it's even harder because with a like regularly recorded video, people can watch it whenever, you know, and some of the problem with live is that it loses its shininess and fun factor or relevancy factor or this is important and meaningful to me factor when you're catching a replay. Because if you're not in the conversation at the time, it's kind of like, you know, it's not always as much fun for people to watch. And so, one, you have to make sure that whatever topic you're talking about is still relevant and impactful and, you know, educational maybe in some way or worth someone's time watching. Because if they see 4 hours, they just get scared by that wall and they're like, oh, crap, all I really wanted is 30 seconds in the middle of it. Like, that's important, you know?
Right.
And I feel like people, even when you start to get into like a regularly programmed show, that's asking a lot of people to be like step away from their families or whatever it is to try and make it at a certain amount of time. So I feel like it should be almost be expected that sometimes you're not going to have everyone in your audience there because they all have lives. And so it's going to take a long time sometimes for people to realize that Thursdays at 5:30 or whatever is when you tune in to come to this show. And it feels like it could be 2 months in and people are just starting to be like, oh, you're going live? You know, so I feel like a lot of new streamers need to also have that in their mind where it's like, it's going to take a while and you're going to have to keep doing it. Just like any other thing, like any other YouTube video, you have to keep doing it like consistently.
And then eventually you start seeing the progress, but it doesn't happen right away. Yeah. Particularly because there is very limited discovery on these platforms and there's very limited organic reach. You have to kind of build and bring your own audience to what you're doing. And that takes time. It really definitely takes time. And it's like you go live and even though going live like at the same time, like it's not, live streaming isn't ideal for destination viewing. It's not like people keep a list of like this person goes live at this time but I still can't think of a better way when somebody's new to get people who enjoy what they're doing to come back another time than to go live at the same time again next week. And that doesn't mean like in between, you certainly can throw in, like in between, you can certainly throw in, you know, spontaneous live streams and pop-up live streams and casual ones. And, but I think having that show and like continuing to drive it home this day at this time, and this is the name of the show. And, you know, if it's an interview show, having guests lined up for a few weeks, all that signals to people like, okay, this person's going to be doing this for a while. I should check it out and, you know, make this a part of my schedule, or at least I better chance they'll remember. But still, you got to promote it on social. You've got to do a lot of things. You got to cut up clips. It's not like, you know, you can just go live and the audience is there unless you're, you know, famous. And then the rules don't apply, right?
There are different rules that apply.
There's different rules for the famous. But for the rest of us, we go live and over time we build an audience. And I think Joe Wilson said something like we're all famous to somebody, or, you know.
My mom thinks I'm great. Yes. And actually, even that's a lie, because my mom doesn't watch a single one of my videos. You know, you just go like, live not and the one. Is there. I was like, Mom.
Are you watching
actually, even Facebook? My husband, I was just like, hey. And he's like, I wonder if you could do this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I just made a video about this. Like, seriously. Like, yeah. Oh, I finally found where the comment was coming from. I could not figure out which page it was actually. I digress. Never mind. You don't care. Oh. I'm just like, I'm easily distracted, like I said. So never mind. So, okay. So tell the people where they can come find you if they want to talk to you more.
They can find me at livestreamuniverse.com, and my YouTube channel is youtube.com/livestreamuniverse, or iRossBrand on Twitter, RossBrand1 on Instagram, RossBrand on LinkedIn, Livestream Universe on Facebook, and any of those are fine. Or just, you know,
Livestream Universe or Ross Brand. You're gonna find
Livestream Universe.
Those are the two things.
There might be a couple of results that'll come up if you do that. So
So I think one thing that's awesome that you just mentioned is you mentioned like 6 different platforms, and I have to like reiterate that sometimes you just don't know where it is that you might find your best audience. It might be on LinkedIn, or it might be on TikTok, or it might be on Instagram. And the beauty of being able to like nowadays be on social media is that you can be on all of these platforms for free. But the downside of that is for a lot of people, it's really difficult to spread themselves so thin and be on a lot. And so I know some people have said like, just choose one. And I have to push back on that a lot. And I have to be like, what if your one was Vero? What if your one was Vine? What if your one was, you know, Parlor? Or what if your one was whatever one that just shut down recently as well?
Periscope.
Periscope just shut down too, right? So what if your one was Periscope? And so, and just for a second here, I need to make sure that I give some love to my channel sponsor, which is Restream. And so right now, currently, we're live on 6 different destinations. And so I don't have to go live on each one of them. I can take one broadcast and push it out to all these different places. So that's really awesome. Again, if anyone wants to sign up, it's a $10 credit, and that is an affiliate link. So if you want to check that out, please make sure that you do. But I have to say, you don't know where you're going to like pop off. So I even had a client, which was Holly Lee. And so I was telling her before, I was like, why are you pushing so hard on, let's say, YouTube, if your clients are on LinkedIn, if they're high level executives trying to get like these high tech jobs or something? And I'm like, you have to think about this is like, yes, you may have to put some thought into strategically being on places that you never thought you needed to be, but you might find more success there. You know, like LinkedIn makes sense for like a job type of search because it is a job search type of like environment. But you know, like there's so much of that. And she was doing live streams every week talking about like career advice and coaching and all this stuff. And people were like, I found you on YouTube, now I follow you on your LinkedIn. And so much of this is like, a lot of it is you can't dictate where people are going to be. You just need to be on all the places and let people find you. Like, is kind of how I feel about that.
And even if they connect with you on LinkedIn and you say are looking for a job or they're interested in hiring you, they're going to probably take your name and put it into Google anyway.
They will always do that. They will look
even
at your...
even if you aren't churning out content regularly on those sites, having your bio in there, you know, like having a Twitter account, not having it be nothing in the past 10 years, but always occasionally keeping that feed active and making sure you fill out and update your bio, that alone is like 80% of the way when it comes to getting a job or winning a client or whatever. Like there's steps that you can take that are far short of like building funnels and doing all these complicated marketing tactics. It's like, fill out your bio, have a link to your whatever it is you want them to go visit, your website, your LinkedIn profile, your portfolio, whatever it is. And that's one of the ways that, you know, a lot of people don't take advantage of social. They're just like, oh, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of Twitter. I don't get anything. So I'm not. Yeah. But somebody's going to search for you there, or it's going to come up high in any kind of Google search.
It's about other people finding you. And that's the thing. So, is like so many people don't think about that.
You don't have to be that active. You don't have to be hardly active at all, but at least fill out the bio, have a good pinned tweet, and, you know, have a link that sends people where you want them to go. And think the same way about every other platform.
And there's really no excuse nowadays because they have so many different services that will multi-connect, and like their services like if this then that, where if you post, there's all kinds of recipes and applets that you can put together. It's like, hey, if I post something on Instagram, make sure it goes to my Twitter, you know, or make sure if it's on Facebook that it goes to an album on Instagram. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can cross promote that it's, and especially because every single one of these platforms is free. And I know it's like, oh, it's extra work. And I'm like, do you want to be found or don't you? Like, And I saw that my friend How Much is in the chat. How are you? It's nice to see you. Thank you so much for popping in. It's nice to see your avatar in here. I hope you're having a good night. But yeah, I don't understand for some people why they're just like, oh, I don't want to be on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, but you know who's on Instagram? 2 billion users every month. So maybe you should have your stuff on Instagram because someone is going to find you there. And just because you deem it not the best place for you, like, here's the thing is like, you may think it's only about Facebook, but people hate Facebook or something, and it's just like, if you're not on Instagram or something, or, you know, I'm just like, you can't dictate which platform people find you on. And what really drives me nuts too is when people are trying to be like, let me put this pin to get people to come to like the YouTube to do the whatever, or like the Twitter to come over here. And I'm just like, why don't you just respect the platform that people are on and let them actually enjoy it there? So that I know some people are like, I would never put my YouTube video on IGTV. And I'm like, why not? You know, like if you can and it's free, what do you think that 1 cent that you did not get in AdSense from whatever didn't, you know, like you didn't get? But I'm like, if you put it on IGTV and actually people started to watch it, wouldn't it be really cool if you hit then the monetization requirements so that you could monetize on Instagram? Facebook has an like a monetization program. TikTok has a monetization program. Like YouTube is not the only game around. So unless you're under some sort of like affiliate thing, like with Twitch, where you can't put it out for a week, there's really no excuse for people not kind of spreading out their content lots of different places. Because I'm like, I'm sorry if you think that you're going to lose so many views on YouTube. Like, what if you had one person who ended up signing up and buying a house or something from you as a real estate agent because they found you instead of being on YouTube, but on like Instagram and in stories and something like that? Do you really care that they didn't come watch your video on YouTube? No, because you just made $40,000 on your $1 million house listing. No? So
the goal is to sell houses, not to get an extra YouTube view.
Yeah, and I think people have it like backwards, and I'm like, I just don't understand. like my mind literally explodes with like possibilities. I'm like, you can have all this exposure and like whatever for free, and they're going to host all your content for free, and they're not going to charge you, and you're going to deem it not a place to put content because people might not watch it. I'm like, guess what? I put videos on YouTube and lots of people don't watch it. Millions of people don't watch my content. Billions of people don't watch my content. What's the problem with putting it on Instagram? You know, like, I don't understand.
And you can always put a segment on, and like you can put one, let's say you cover 3 topics in a video. You can always put one topic on IGTV and say, you know, if you'd like to check out the rest of this video, head on over to my YouTube, and you put the link in there. Some people might not, but I bet you get more views on YouTube that way than if you didn't put it on IGTV at all.
Yep. All right. So I know we've been going on a long time about things that really don't have to do with live streaming equipment. So we'll go ahead and, unless there's any other comments, questions coming from the audience, let us know. Otherwise, I will start to wind it all down. Let me know, people. Okay, so I already let people know where they can find you online. I do have to make sure before we leave that I say, if you like live streams, again, every Thursday, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And also, oh, sorry, you popped off screen because it's set into a scene where you're not in it. I'm sorry. Thank you to the channel members, especially TubeBuddy. Thank you for being a platinum channel member. I appreciate you. Ross, coming back here on the screen. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, that's all right.
I forgot that it's programmed to only me when those overlays come up in the scene. I'm sorry. Right. I just popped you off the screen.
You had business to take care of. That's all.
I know. I was like, oh, he's gone.
Keep all the sponsors happy.
But at that point, I'd already pushed the button, and I was like, oh, poop.
Nothing you can do about it then.
I know. At that point, I was just like, let the animation play or just come back and kill it. But yeah. Oh, Pixel Pia says, I'm looking forward to the video about Elgato Stream Deck. Yeah. Definitely. I'll be putting that one on. And I'm really excited because I'm going to do a top-down shot as well so you can see what it looks like, because I am using it inside of Ecamm most of the time. There are different recipes and stuff and profiles that you can install, so you can use it on Twitch, you can use it on other things, so you can have a profile for your stuff for when you use it on Twitch, or maybe when you use it on StreamYard if they get that. So I have a whole group of buttons for when I'm in Ecamm. So I've only programmed it for a certain amount of things, but you can definitely program it for different situations, which is nice. So
which one do you have? I heard you say don't get the small
button. Yeah, okay. There's a 6 button.
Have you ever run out of buttons? Or?
Yeah, I'm already at the point where I would I could use a couple more buttons. So I know that Luria has like the 32 button, like the Big Daddy one. I have the 16. I have like the Mama Bear, and I would just say don't get the Baby Bear. No Baby Bear. Yes, Mama Bear or Papa Bear. Big one. So.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
No problem. And I will, I don't know if you want to say bye to everyone and I can pop you off screen, or you can just hang
Bye,
up.
everyone. Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to be rude and just like shove you off the screen, but.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
See you later. You're welcome. Bye. Okay, so I'm bringing it back to just me. We're the only ones. Oh, thank you so much for noticing. This is actually the first time I've introduced it to the group. This I got from a shop on Etsy, and it's her shop is called Jules Bakery, and so she did this cup for me with all these jewels on it. Has my name on it. Very excited about that. Yeah, I got it on Etsy, of course, because all things that are really great and like customizable, Etsy. So isn't this cute? Shelly. That's my name. All right. So unless you guys have any other lingering questions, I'm going to be shutting this down. I learned to look at every social platform differently and post differently. Yeah, definitely. Respecting the platform that you're posting to. Yes. I love that. I make you want to go post an IGTV right now? You should. Why not? Absolutely. And all right, that was fun. Thank you to Shelly and Ross. It's awesome. So far, I've only used 5 of the first set and 25 things connected. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Sweet. Well, I do want to make sure. I think we've said all the things, right? You said all the social places that you can find me online. Make sure you do that. It's not hitting the button. Why is it not doing it? I'm going to do it manually. It's not doing it. Ready? Think about it. There it is. There it is. You can find me on TikTok and the Twitters and the Instagram, and I'll not shame you for following me, which apparently has been a thing recently. Special shout out to all of my channel members. We just did this one, but I got to make sure I do it because I appreciate you guys and I love you all. And if you didn't know, the animated subscribe button that you just saw, it's available in the merch shelf down below, as well as iMovie Made Easy. It is available now. Apparently I have to keep telling people because sometimes when I tell people that it exists, people buy it, which I enjoy. All right, and yes, special shout out to my actual channel sponsor, Restream. Go check it out if you want to be able to multi-stream to lots of different places at the same time, up to 30. It's really cool. And do you guys have anything else? I haven't done IGTV yet. Get on it. Get on it. You should do it. Do it. Anyways, I hope you guys have an awesome night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you next Thursday for another Triple T, and I'll see you on Sunday for another regularly scheduled video. Have a good night, guys. Bye.